The 1990s in South Central Los Angeles were defined by a volatile mix of gang violence, systemic poverty, and widespread fear, with survival often feeling like a daily battle. This period saw the rise of territorial disputes between notorious gangs like the Bloods and Crips, fueled by a landscape ravaged by the crack epidemic and economic despair. In this environment, even the most ordinary actions, wearing the wrong color, making eye contact with the wrong person, or taking a wrong turn could have deadly consequences. For many, navigating this world meant adopting an unspoken code of survival where street smarts, resilience, and constant vigilance are crucial tools to stay alive. From the constant threat of gang warfare to the mistrust of law enforcement, surviving South Central during this era meant learning to adapt to a reality shaped by danger, violence, and the need to protect oneself and loved ones. Number one, wrong colors. One of the most tragic and illustrative incidents of gang related violence over wearing the wrong colors in South Los Angeles during the 1990s involved Tavin Price. Although this incident occurred in 2015, it echoes the deadly consequences of similar situations in the 1990s. Tavin Price, a 19-year-old with a mental disability, was at a car wash in Hyde Park with his mother on May 29, 2015. He was wearing red Chuck Taylor shoes, a color associated with the Bloods gang. A man confronted Price about his shoes, demanding that he take them off. When Price did not comply, the man followed him and eventually shot him. Price was rushed to the hospital but died during surgery. This incident is reminiscent of the 1990s when gang violence in South Los Angeles was rampant and wearing the wrong colors could easily lead to fatal encounters. The Crips and Bloods, two of the most notorious gangs, were highly territorial and viewed the colors blue and red as symbols of their respective affiliations. Wearing the rival gang's color was seen as a sign of disrespect and could provoke violent retaliation. During the 1990s, South Los Angeles was a battleground for these gangs, with the crack cocaine epidemic fueling much of the violence. Drive-by shootings and other forms of violent confrontations were common, and innocent bystanders often became victims. The fear of being targeted for wearing the wrong colors was pervasive, affecting the daily lives of residents. One notable incident from the 1990s involved a young man named Tyrone, who was shot and killed simply for wearing a blue jacket in a Bloods-dominated neighborhood. Tyrone was not a gang member, but his choice of clothing led to his untimely death. This incident highlighted the arbitrary and senseless nature of the violence that plagued the community. The legacy of the 1990s gang violence over colors is still felt today. Families who lost loved ones continue to bear the psychological scars of living in such a volatile environment. The story of South Los Angeles during this period serves as a stark reminder of the devastating effects of gang violence and the importance of addressing the root causes to prevent future tragedies. Number two, house parties. The Halloween Massacre on October 30th, 1993, stands as one of the most notorious gang-related house party shootings in Los Angeles during the 1990s. This tragic event unfolded in the West community that had long been plagued by gang violence and territorial disputes. The incident not only left 3 people dead and several others injured, but also underscored the severe impact of gang rivalry on local communities. On that fateful night, a house party was in full swing, attended by numerous young people looking to enjoy the Halloween festivities. However, the atmosphere of celebration quickly turned into one of terror. Multiple gang members, driven by ongoing rivalries, arrived at the party with the intent to confront their adversaries. What began as a confrontation escalated rapidly into a deadly shooting spree. The assailants opened fire indiscriminately, targeting partygoers in a brutal display of violence. The chaos that ensued was unimaginable, with people scrambling for cover and trying to escape the hail of bullets. By the time the shooting stopped, 3 individuals lay dead and several others were wounded, some critically. The victims included both gang members and innocent bystanders who were caught in the crossfire. The immediate aftermath of the Halloween Massacre was one of shock and grief. The West community, already accustomed to the presence of gang violence, was left reeling from the sheer brutality of the attack. Families mourned the loss of their loved ones, and the injured faced long recoveries, both physically and emotionally. Law enforcement agencies launched an intensive investigation to apprehend those responsible for the massacre. The incident drew significant media attention, highlighting the pervasive issue of gang violence in Los Angeles. Community leaders and activists called for increased efforts to combat gang activity and to provide safer environments for young people. It served as a grim reminder of the dangers associated with gang-affiliated areas and the potential for violence at social gatherings. The incident also highlighted the need for community intervention and support to address the root causes of gang involvement. In the wake of the massacre, various community organizations and local authorities intensified their efforts to curb gang violence. Initiatives aimed at providing education, employment opportunities, and recreational activities for at-risk youth were implemented to steer them away from gang life. Additionally, law enforcement agencies increased their presence in gang-prone areas, conducting regular patrols and engaging with community members to build trust and cooperation. Moreover, the incident serves as a cautionary tale about the risks associated with house parties in gang-affiliated areas. It emphasizes the need for vigilance and precaution when organizing or attending such gatherings, particularly in neighborhoods with a history of gang activity. Fuck with A House Party by Dub C is a track from his 1998 album, The Shady Swan. The song, produced by DJ Battlecat, paints a vivid picture of a chaotic house party in Los Angeles. Here's a brief breakdown. The song starts with WC getting a call about a house party. He describes the atmosphere of the party filled with loud music, alcohol, and a mix of people. As the party progresses, tensions rise. WC encounters gang members and feels the threat of violence. The lyrics highlight the dangers and unpredictability of such gatherings. The situation escalates into a physical altercation. WC describes getting attacked and fighting back, emphasizing the chaotic and dangerous nature of the party. The song ends with WC escaping the party, reflecting on the night's events and the reality of life in his neighborhood. The track is a gritty, realistic portrayal of the party scene in LA during the late 90s, showcasing WC's storytelling ability. Number 3, phone booth murders. One of the most infamous gang-related phone booth shootings in South Los Angeles during the 1990s occurred on March 18, 1993. This tragic event took place near the intersection of Florence Avenue and Normandy Avenue, a location that had already gained notoriety due to the 1992 Los Angeles riots. The shooting involved members of rival gangs, the Bloods and the Crips, and resulted in the death of 2 individuals and injuries to several others. The 1990s were a particularly violent decade for South Los Angeles, with gang activity reaching unprecedented levels. The rivalry between the Bloods and the Crips, 2 of the most prominent gangs in the area, often led to violent confrontations in public spaces. The phone booth shooting was a prime example of how these conflicts could erupt suddenly and with devastating consequences. On the night of the shooting, a young man affiliated with the Bloods was using a phone booth to make a call. Unbeknownst to him, members of the Crips were patrolling the area looking for rivals. When they spotted the young man, they saw an opportunity to strike. Witnesses reported that the Crips members approached the phone booth and opened fire without warning, unleashing a hail of bullets. The young man at the phone booth was killed instantly. A passerby who happened to be walking nearby was also struck by the gunfire and later succumbed to his injuries at the hospital. Several other individuals in the vicinity were injured, some critically, as they tried to flee the scene. The suddenness and brutality of the attack left the community in shock and mourning. The aftermath of the shooting saw an increased police presence in the area as authorities sought to prevent further violence. Community leaders and activists called for an end to the senseless bloodshed and urged young people to seek alternatives to gang life. However, the deep-seated animosities between the Bloods and the Crips made it difficult to achieve lasting peace. The phone booth shooting remains a grim reminder of the violence that once plagued South Los Angeles. It serves as a testament to the community's resilience and the ongoing struggle to create a safer environment for future generations. Today, while significant progress has been made in reducing gang violence, the scars of the past continue to shape the city's identity. Number 4, wrong turns and dead-end streets. On September 17, 1995, a tragic incident occurred in the Cypress Park neighborhood of Los Angeles. The Cohen family, returning from a cookout, made a wrong turn into an alley known for gang activity. This area was controlled by the Avenues gang, notorious for its violent reputation. As the family car navigated the unfamiliar streets, gang members opened fire, believing the vehicle posed a threat. 3-year-old Stephanie Cohen was fatally shot, and her stepfather and younger brother were injured. The senseless murder of such a young child shocked the nation and drew significant media attention. The incident highlighted the pervasive gang violence in Los Angeles and led to a crackdown on street gangs. In the aftermath, several gang members were arrested and convicted for their roles in the shooting. The tragedy also spurred local and federal efforts to combat gang violence, including the creation of the Los Angeles City Clear program. Stephanie's death became a symbol of the innocent lives lost to urban violence, prompting calls for change and greater community involvement in preventing such tragedies. Number 5, swap meets. The 1990s in South Central Los Angeles were a turbulent time marked by significant gang violence and crime. Swap meets, popular community gathering spots, were not immune to this violence. These markets often became hotspots for gang-related activities, including shootings and killings. One notable incident occurred in 1991 at the Slauson Swap Meet, where a gang-related shooting resulted in multiple fatalities and injuries. Such events highlighted the pervasive danger in these areas during that era. The violence at swap meets was part of a broader pattern of gang conflicts that plagued South Central Los Angeles, contributing to the area's reputation for high crime rates and instability. The 1990s were a decade of intense gang activity in South Central Los Angeles, with the Crips and Bloods being the most prominent gangs. These gangs were involved in various illegal activities, including drug trafficking, extortion, and violent crimes. The rivalry between these gangs often resulted in violent confrontations, which sometimes spilled over into public spaces like swap meets. Swap meets, also known as flea markets, were popular in South Central Los Angeles for their affordability and the variety of goods available. They were frequented by locals looking for bargains on clothing, electronics, and other items. However, the large crowds and open-air setup made them vulnerable to gang activity. Gang members would often use these gatherings as opportunities to settle scores, intimidate rivals, or conduct illegal transactions. The Slauson swap meet incident in 1991 was a particularly tragic example of the violence that plagued these markets. On a busy weekend afternoon, a dispute between rival gang members escalated into a shootout. Innocent bystanders, including families and children, were caught in the crossfire. Multiple people were killed and several others were injured. The incident sent shockwaves through the community and drew national attention to the issue of gang violence in Los Angeles. Number 6, Mad Dogging. In the 1990s, gang culture in South Los Angeles was heavily centered around respect, territory, and dominance. A simple act like mad dogging staring someone down was often viewed as a challenge or disrespect, which could quickly escalate to violence. In gang-heavy areas like Compton, Watts, and South Central LA, even casual encounters could turn fatal if someone from one gang mad dogged a member of a rival gang. These stare-downs were often the precursors to shootings and retaliatory violence between gangs like the Bloods, Crips, and other local sets. The 1994 murder of a Crip member. Johnson, a 19-year-old Crip member, was shot and killed in 1994 after an altercation that reportedly began with mad dogging. Johnson, while walking in a blood-controlled area of South Los Angeles, was involved in a hostile stare-down with a group of Bloods who took offense. The tension quickly escalated into a verbal altercation and then a shooting. Johnson's death led to a string of retaliatory killings between the Bloods and Crips in the following months. The 1996 case of 2 teenagers killed in a drive-by shooting. In another tragic incident in 1996, 2 teenagers were killed in a drive-by shooting in South Los Angeles after mad dogging escalated into violence. The teenagers, who were not known